Hello there. Welcome to Rising. Thank you for joining us. We've got a fantastic show for you today, as we do every day. We work tirelessly all day, every day. The cameras stop rolling, but we're in the salt mines, mining takes and interesting news stories to just keep you entertained as long as we draw breath, really.
Yeah, hard reporting from the fact factory.
That's us.
That's us.
That is us.
All right, well, first up, we have this news story about the National Archives Records and Administration, which is allegedly in possession of over 5,000 documents linked to President Joe Biden's alleged pseudonyms. Now, the Southeastern Legal Foundation sued the archives and requested all records pertaining to 3 email accounts containing fake names House Republicans say Joe Biden used to evade accountability for his pay-for-play influence scheme. Now, per the nonprofit, the archives responded to their June 2022 Freedom of Information Act request and confirmed the existence of some 5,000 records, but never released them.
Meanwhile, top members of House Republican leadership say that they've launched an investigation into lead prosecutor David Weiss over his handling of the DOJ's investigation into Hunter Biden. They say Weiss's 11th hour appointment to special counsel undermines the Justice Department's claims that Weiss was always acting independently of the administration. Now, former Ukrainian prosecutor Viktor Shokin sat down with Vox News last week, where he weighed in on the allegations against the Bidens. Let's watch.
Do you believe that Joe Biden or Hunter Biden got bribes?
I do not want to deal in unproven facts, but my firm personal conviction is that, yes, this was the case. They were being bribed. The fact that Joe Biden gave away $1 billion in U.S. money in exchange for my dismissal, my firing, isn't that alone a case of corruption?
So let's start maybe with the first part of this first. So it seems like what has happened here is that a couple of emails that were disclosed, there was evidence that Joe Biden was using other synonymous email accounts,
right,
other than the
because
ones
the
that
email was literally sent from a different named email.
Right. And Hunter Biden was copied on it. So
you can't just email Joe Biden at federalgovernment.com and it goes to Joe Biden.
Right. So there's the argument is that because Hunter Biden was copied on this email, that is potential evidence that there's no, Chinese wall between his business interactions and his family interactions as he's claimed before. Now, the substance of those emails in particular seem to have been scheduling emails, the likes of which are hardly state secrets. I don't think that when you say, I don't have business dealings with my family, it doesn't mean that there's not sometimes political events that your family shouldn't come to as the Vice President of the United States, which is a largely symbolic position. So I don't know that we know yet if there's a there. Obviously, if these 5,000 documents are disclosed, we'll find out fairly soon. But how plausible do you think it is that there exists this trove of documents that all of the investigators in the Department of Justice under the Trump administration declined to discover, didn't look into? Is this evidence that they performed a very poor investigation, or is it evidence that these emails are likely not especially substantive?
Well, do we know? We don't know if David Weiss saw them. And there are a lot of questions right now that Republicans have about his handling of this entire investigation, which led to the purported sweetheart deal, which was thrown out by a judge because it was going to give Hunter Biden and thus potentially Joe Biden a future shield from the very sorts of inquiries that we are most interested in having into the business ties in Ukraine and China. So that's one thing. The other thing is, look, yes, obviously we cannot conclude that there's anything inappropriate about these emails until we've actually seen them. But I would understand people being skeptical of the administration saying there's nothing to them when the administration has said, that Biden has said, again, no knowledge of Hunter Biden's business dealings. But the reality is so far from what they have claimed and what the media kind of enforced from the get-go. We now know that, yes, Joe Biden did call in to meetings that Hunter Biden was having with these business associates. We know there was a dinner that they said Joe Biden was not at, that this Ukrainian official was not, Burisma person was not there. We now know that's false. Biden was there. So the claims that he has made, without even getting to the level of provable wrongdoing, we've accumulated evidence that the way the administration framed this relationship is not accurate, and the media's lack of curiosity about it initially, now they do have some curiosity about it, was not right. So we shouldn't jump the gun here. We shouldn't jump the gun on any of this. It's true that Republicans, despite strenuous effort, have not conclusively, decisively found something that's really meaty for the purposes of charging or impeaching Joe Biden himself. But as media criticism and criticism of the statements that the White House has made about this relationship, I'm sorry, it's beyond what you were led to believe, and I would very much be curious to see what these emails actually say.
I mean, I agree, but media criticism isn't the same thing as substantive culpability, and it does increasingly feel like, I mean, I would agree that some of the Trump indictments are thinner than others. Let's take 2 of them off the board, but the remaining 2, at least 2 of them. Let's say the document case is substantively not that important, but pretty clear on the violation of the law and the obstruction of justice. And then obviously the Georgia case. It does increasingly feel like there are going to be these allegations of, I secretly have this stuff. There's secretly evidence that Biden's just as bad as Trump. We're not going to reveal it to you, perhaps because once you reveal what's there, it seems like a nothing burger. And it's like, what are you waiting for? I feel we've expressed similar frustrations over the UAP stuff. I think we're both very open to believing stuff, but at a certain point, just show us the goods. What's the delay? There's this Newsmax is teasing that there's an audio tape that's conclusively going to bring the Bidens down. Let's hear it. Let's see it. I certainly have no interest in defending Joe Biden. I would love for him to be out of this race. I would love for there to be a real primary put on by the Democratic Party, which is obviously not going to happen until Joe Biden is out of this race. But at the same time, I'm reluctant to feed in to a smoke and mirrors campaign to make it seem like there's a kind of moral equivalency between the crimes that Joe Biden has been accused of but not substantiated or been indicted or anything formal in any way, and what's going on with Donald Trump. And the last thing is, I'm struggling with, as a former attorney who did a lot of document review, the idea that the Trump Justice Department was investigating Hunter Biden, and it didn't occur to them to do the kind of word searches and document searches that would have looked into other email accounts. That's like ground zero investigation. What are all of the potential social media, email, BlackBerry, iPhone, all of the accounts that one could potentially have sent messages from? And you look, did the firm you're investigating have employees that send emails to their home address? Okay, then we have to.
Well, but that's exactly what people are wondering. Was David Weiss actually interested in getting to the bottom of this, getting to the truth, or was he actually trying to shield the Bidens in some way? Was he a bad actor in this process?
That's fine, but
as whistleblowers have alleged.
But over and over again, Trump appointed conservatives who everybody liked right up. 5-6 months ago, conservatives were screaming for David Weiss to be appointed as a special prosecutor. And so I get it. Sometimes
Trump appointed a lot of bad people. I think that's a criticism of him that has even permeated right-wing world.
Sometimes you do realize that someone isn't who you thought they were after the fact. I'm not saying you have to be committed to your position on someone from 6 months prior. But over and over and over again, people who aren't able to confirm whatever pre-existing bias is in terms of what you think you're going to find about the Bidens or what you think was an appropriate legal strategy for stealing the election are suddenly written off as, oh, but they're bad people. Oh, they were bad. They were out to get me. There's a great conspiracy. What if there actually just isn't a there? That's all.
Yeah, but they did. But again, we have to. Trump was impeached for the first time calling for. Wanting Ukraine to announce an investigation into the process that had removed this judge that Joe Biden had wanted removed. The bottom line of that was it was good for Burisma for that guy to get out of the way. And Joe Biden bragged about that on tape. And they impeached Trump over it. And we have to investigate this from all angles because it was a very substantive, important thing.
Yep, it's shady on its face, which is why it's so curious that after 4 years of Trump, where he ran on an explicit promise to hunt down that sort of corruption and to target the Biden family, like he said it out loud, that was his focus. It was his Justice Department. He had 4 years. And we're saying now that, oh, oops, there are a couple of emails that have a Joe Biden email account that we didn't look into before, and now there are all these documents in the National Archives that are going to be the smoking gun.
Look,
maybe let's see him. I'm open. Let's see him.
I mean, I'm not defending Trump either on any level. I'm not defending him strategically or legally, or he manifestly did not accomplish so many of the things he set out to do, in part because his personnel selection was bad across the board, and that is a good reason for the conservative movement not to embrace him as their standard bearer yet again. But I have no power in this process.
Right. Well, Rising has reached out to the White House for comment and has yet to hear back at the time of this recording. Stick around. We'll have more Rising for you right after this.